Very active and busy week for you.
Very much so. No, even today's storm, it's just so dynamic. There's a lot of moving parts with it, and that's why we have our storm trackers out. So here in Oklahoma City, things right now are pretty quiet. We do have a little bit of wind. That wind's out of the south, and temperatures aren't terribly cold. It's going to get much colder, I can promise you that. But just looking at where our storm trackers are right now, it looks kind of quiet, but Marty Logan's shot, it definitely looks cold, and it looks a little windy. Let's take Marty's shot full screen. Marty, I see those tumbleweeds. Go ahead and give us an update. Oh, okay.
412. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. They didn't have you potted up. Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, so I'm on Highway 412 west of Guyman, and you're looking east. 15 minutes ago, you could see that highway. I'm starting to white out. I shouldn't say white out. It's getting heavier snow. And also, scanner traffic has got a semi rollover and another vehicle rolled over. I can't pick it out where it's at just yet. I'm sure it's going to be weather related because they said that it's sleeting and snowing where the accident is. So it's probably like driving on marbles like I had a little earlier. And I'll stay with this. Back to you, Cassie.
All right. Thanks so much, Marty. And Marty's likely going to be out there for this afternoon as well, chasing with David when he gets in a little bit later, because this is going to be an ongoing event. And Val and Amy Castor, they're also out in the Panhandle. They're just a little bit farther off to the east. And in Val's shot, I can also see that snow blowing across the road. Val, go ahead and give us an update.
Oh, man, Cassie, it's amazing how fast things are happening out here. About 20 minutes ago, we were 44 degrees and the winds were light. Now we're getting very strong north winds. The temperature has dropped 10 degrees almost instantly, and we're getting snow. This thing just came on to us in a hurry. We're right in the middle of Guyman right now, and the snow is moving in. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Val. So great update there. Let's go ahead and go to Links 1. I'm going to show you exactly what all this storm is doing. So all of the travelers advisories, that's in far northwest Oklahoma because that blizzard warning, well, some of that snow and that wind will eventually move off to the east and into northwest Oklahoma. We have wind advisories, high wind warnings for really much of the state because no matter where you go, I mean, it's going to be incredibly windy, especially once the cold front comes in later tonight. So it's going to get much colder and it's going to be very blustery. Right now, rain and a few storms across the far eastern half of the state, but you're going to find our storm trackers out in the Panhandle. That's where we still have at least some snow. Now, the snow, we're not expecting a whole lot out of it, at least at this point. It's the wind blowing the snow around that causes those very low visibilities. But right now, some light rain across Next Gen Live all the way from up towards Hominy down to Welty, Holdenville, down to Ada, and also just right around Wynnewood. Oklahoma City, coming in pretty good so far, a little over ½ of an inch, but we could still see maybe a little bit more later this evening, and then overnight tonight could get cold enough that we could see a few flurries. Some sunshine out in the Panhandle moving into western Oklahoma. We could see a few breaks in the clouds here later this afternoon, but for now, that is certainly not the case. Cloudy and cold. This is our Norman Regional Camera up of our Lucky Star Skycam network. Temperatures in the low 40s, but it feels a little colder. 40s and 50s in the south and west, but we do have 20s and 30s out in the Panhandle. Again, you can see where the cold front's already moved through. It's a north wind. We've seen wind gusts approaching around 60 miles an hour. So again, later tonight, eventually some of that snow is going to move into northern Oklahoma. Flurries will be possible in Oklahoma City. And then tomorrow, it's just going to be really cold and windy. It feels like 10 degrees right now in Eva, and it feels like 17 in Goodwill, 6 right now in Boise City, and 5 over in Kenton. So these are the kind of wind chills that will become the norm, not only with this storm, but we got a couple more to talk about. So this storm continues to move across the state, and it's going to continue overnight and into early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon will be dry, though. So after storm number 1 passes, we're going to get a break. Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures will be cool, but not terribly cold. Storm number 2, that moves in by the time we get into Friday. It does have some moisture to work with, but one thing's for sure, behind it, we're going to get that Arctic blast, so some polar air coming in with temperatures struggling to make it out of the teens for some days. Storm number 3 moves in by next Monday, and then we're looking at the chance of snow even here in Oklahoma City with some minor accumulations, maybe a little bit more, but we'll fine-tune it as we get a little bit closer. For the rest of this afternoon, though, generally it looks like Oklahoma City, we stay dry, but the snow in the Panhandle eventually moves into northwest Oklahoma, and that's going to continue as we go through the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. But as far as wind gusts are concerned, that's going to be a very big highlight of the forecast over the next several hours. Even as we go through the day tomorrow, starting out in the morning, we could see wind gusts as high as around 45 miles an hour in Oklahoma City, but eventually relaxing a little bit more later in the afternoon. By Wednesday, it doesn't doesn't look nearly as windy. Today, though, shooting for highs in the low 50s. To the north, it's obviously going to be cooler. The rain will eventually come to an end off to the east, but the blizzard-like conditions will eventually move into far northwest Oklahoma. Overnight tonight, keeping the chance of snow across north. How much are we looking at? Well, across parts of northern metro, we could see maybe a dusting, but the higher accumulations will certainly be across the far north and west. But the thing is, with all the wind, it's also going to be kind of hard to measure all of that. So by tomorrow morning, there will be some slick spots likely, especially in northwest Oklahoma, and roads closed in parts of the panhandle. Temperatures dropping down into the 20s overnight tonight. Tomorrow, cold and windy. Highs not making out of the 30s for many of us. By Wednesday, we do recover at least into the low 50s, upper 50s across the south. And that third storm moves in by the time we get into next week. And that one by Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Temperatures not making it out of the teens with accumulating snow possible. We'll be right back.